Hi everyone! Here's the next episode in our series on intentional community. So the Bruderhof's been around for a while now, and those of us who are new to it benefit tremendously from the experiences of earlier generations. You know, the things that worked and the things that didn't. And we're going to talk about 5 of the things that work. Of course, what's most important to us is the person and the teachings of Jesus. All of these lessons stem from that. So, you ready to do this?
Let's do this. People who are attracted to intentional community are generally people with utopian ideals looking for a radically new way of living. Problem is, you can't live on dreams and ideals. Asking for donations and living on philanthropy might work for a while. Our community did its fair share of that in the beginning. But long term, you need to be contributing more to the world than just, a new blueprint for society.
Yeah, you can't just sit around and be spiritual.
You can't?
At least I know I can't. Maybe Richard can. Work is not an unfortunate necessity getting in the way of the important stuff. It's actually a way to reflect your values in a practical and down-to-earth way, which also means that the work you do shouldn't contradict your values. Like, be ethical and be considerate in your use of resources.
And even if it's not always possible to have a common income-generating business, Bruderhof is lucky in that regard, I would say. Common work with other community members, whether you're cleaning up community space or working in the neighborhood, it's equally as important as sharing meals or spending time together relaxing. Doing constructive, practical work with people who share your values is an important way to strengthen the bonds within your community. And from a faith perspective, work is how we manifest the sincerity of our beliefs.
Life together can be intense. So it's really important that as a community, you keep finding ways to have fun together. Otherwise, people will quickly burn out.
Yeah, life in community is always going to require self-sacrifice, but it shouldn't be exhausting. If it is, I think you're probably doing it wrong. Keeping a sense of humor about yourself and the people you live with is also key.
Right. For us, it's stuff like people doing funny performances at a communal gathering, or organizing an intergenerational volleyball game, or getting a crowd of people together for a folk song sing-along in the evening around a campfire. And often the most rejuvenating experiences are the unexpected or spontaneous ones.
The most natural thing in the world is for people to talk about each other's weaknesses or annoying proclivities when the person they're talking about isn't there. But you have to wonder why we do it when we know how much it can hurt relationships.
Well, I think there's actually a bunch of reasons why people gossip that aren't so hard to figure out. People do it because they want to feel superior, or because they're envious or angry or even bored. And all of these reasons are detrimental to community building. So a really basic rule for living communally is to commit to no gossip and to keeping relationships between community members simple and genuine. Nobody's perfect, and comments will be dropped from time to time. But if you at least have it as a baseline rule, it's something that you can then come back to.
Yeah, I'm actually pretty sure you've said mean things about me when I'm not around.
Maybe. But you do know that I will always tell you what I think.
You will have conflict in community. Sometimes it will be about little things like what to do about someone's cat who keeps crapping in the kid's sandbox. Sometimes it will be about big things like how the resources of the community are used. Whatever the conflict, there needs to be a clear way in which to resolve it, because while you can go on for a while with unresolved conflicts, eventually the weight of them will make the ship of community unsteady and you risk jeopardizing everything.
Nice metaphor.
Thank you.
If you're committed to frank and open relationships, it should make this not necessarily easier, because conflict is never easy, but a lot less complicated and out in the open. So for us, there's a simple biblical approach, which starts with a person who has a problem trying to resolve it directly with the person they have a problem with.
This can be hard to do, and it's sometimes tempting to bypass this step and go complain to someone else and see if you can get them to do the dirty work and solve the problem for you. But that right away undermines trust and openness. So no matter how difficult it might seem, you have to start here. And generally, 95% of conflicts can be resolved at this level.
If the person who has a problem isn't satisfied after talking one-on-one, then that's the time to bring a third party into the conversation to help mediate. If they still can't find a way through, The problem's then brought in front of all the community members, and then we can all figure it out together.
In the case of the cat crapping, it's pretty clear who's in the right.
Ew, and that's obviously never the cat. So most intentional communities start with some sort of high ideal about transforming society or environmental sustainability or stepping away from worldly affairs and cultural decay. And at the beginning, it's all very dynamic and vibrant, and every day is a discovery. It's exciting. But then things inevitably start to calcify.
And that's because even the best intentional community is not a utopia. It's a microcosm of human society. So eventually, you'll start to see norms and rules develop which can end up being stifling. That's why it's crucial to continually be open to challenging yourself to not settle into certain ways of thinking and doing things, even if there are very good reasons for keeping things the same. Stability is in some ways an admirable goal, but if that's where you put your primary emphasis, it can be the death knell of intentional community. People want to be able to create and be part of building something new, and there needs to be an openness to that and a willingness to take risks.
While at the same time not departing from the foundational values of the community. If you mess with those, it's a creative tension. So for example, for years, the model for life together at the Bruderhof was rural settlements of 250 to 300 people with a common business to support it. And then over a decade ago, a bunch of younger members suggested buying or renting houses in cities to create opportunities to become part of a neighborhood and extend the experience of community in that way. It was a big shift initially, but the model really worked out well. And then since then, there's been dozens of house community startups.
Okay, so that's it for this video. Next video will be about why intentional community is a bad idea.
Really?
It's going to blow your mind. Subscribe and ring the bell so you don't miss it.